thank you guys for inviting me, and I want you to stop and imagine just for a second. It's 2003. There's no MySpace. There's no Facebook. Search ads are out, and display ads with Google AdWords has just kind of come out at that point in time. And I was a struggling affiliate and was starting, and I was doing what was called MFA sites or made for AdSense sites. Anybody ever run MFA sites where you did like black hat SEO? A couple of you in here, and then you'd put AdSense on the page, and then Google banned you. And so I had these websites, and they were in the mortgage space, and I was like, man, what do I do here? All I knew how to do was this MFA stuff and AdSense, and I didn't know how to monetize. And so I had traffic, and I was trying to understand where I could potentially monetize some of these sites. And that's when I stumbled across Commission Junction, signed up for savings.com, and I had a $45,000 month. This was my 13th month in the business, and the 12 months before that, I made $27,000 in total across everything. And then savings.com didn't pay me. So I never actually saw that money. I stumbled across another affiliate network called Azoogle. Anybody in this room know who Azoogle is? A couple of you. They were one of the largest CPA networks for many, many years, and so stumbled into them and Copiac and started doing lead gen, and that's really where lead gen became new to me. So what's the plan to talk about today? Besmer asked me just to talk about lead gen in general, so that's a really huge field. And so this is just my framework here. What is lead generation? How does it work? Ways to find money in your data. So there's a lot of money to be found inside of your data. And then tips for inventing your own vertical. That's me, college dropout, full-time affiliate, 03 to 08, founded A4D, it's been around since 08. Got sued by the Federal Trade Commission in 2012. That was a fun little yuck. I was in the free trial nutraceutical space. Founded multiple D2C brands, and we build super yachts in Croatia. We have a construction company that does that over there. It's my wife and kids, my doggy, and wow, it's really pixelated on that screen. And that's one of the boats we build up top there. So what is lead generation? I always put this quote on my slides because it's one of my favorites. I don't even know who said it, but it's basically, I gave up my 40-hour-a-week stable job so I could have the freedom to work 80 hours a week on my unstable new business. Anybody ever had this happen to them? I think if you're an entrepreneur, this is kind of how it goes, right? So basic lead generation process, you've got data. Lead is piece of data, right? By the way, who in here now runs lead gen? Okay. Who has built a lead gen offer, like actually built the pages and posted the data out? So we've got a good mixture in here. And so then that data is going to go to a call center most of the time. There's other ways that this stuff is monetized, but it's usually going to go to a call center, and then that call center is going to either set an appointment for something like maybe a rehab facility or med spa or something like that. And so they're going to set an appointment for somebody to go show up there, or they're going to make a sale over the phone and sell an insurance policy or whatever it might be. Different verticals in the affiliates world. A lot of you probably have run auto insurance, payday. ACA is really big right now, especially on the call side. Medicare, dating, affiliate niche stuff. And keep in mind that I am in Europe, but I'm very US centric. So, this is all stuff that's big in the US. I'm not sure if it is in Europe or not. We don't do a lot in Europe. But I think some of the, those are some of the standard stuff. We do a lot in the legal space, but I think where there's a lot of opportunity and it's starting to become more tapped is like SMB services. So people talk about home services stuff. So like roof installs or window installs. Solar falls into this bucket as well. So I think there's some really good opportunities in that stuff, and SMB service providers. And I talk a little bit about how you can actually come up with some of your own verticals a little later on. So in Lead Gen, we as affiliate marketers, we're like, hey, we got it to convert and it's profitable, we win. Not in Lead Gen. Lead Gen, it's all about quality, right? How do you get the highest, best quality, or how do you get good enough quality in order to keep those call centers happy? So a lot of times people will come to me and they'll be like, well, just pay me whatever it's worth, even though the quality is shitty. And what happens is if you have really good reps on the phone, they don't want to deal with garbage data. They want the better quality data that's going to close better. So that's why I say only 10%. In my experience, friction actually creates better quality. The harder it is for somebody to fill out a lead, and I'm going to go through all the different lead capture types, the harder it is to generate that lead from maybe putting them through an advertorial or a survey or making them click out of Facebook versus a lead ad or whatever. Friction is going to create better quality leads most of the time in our experience. The longer you can keep the consumer engaged and the more you can educate them through the process is going to create better quality. Also, if you come out of e-com or something like that, be very careful in the lead space if you're new to it, because people like to claw back. This is what they call, they're like, oh, your leads aren't any good, we're not going to pay for them. This happens all the time in the lead gen space. So be very, very cautious as you enter the space. Don't be too aggressive. Start slow in any new vertical. Like I've been doing this forever. We always start slow in any new vertical because I want to understand my close ratios on the back end so that I know the customer's happy and they're going to want to continue to buy data from us. If you send them a bunch of leads that are bad quality, they don't close any of them, they're probably not going to pay your bill. They're probably going to cancel you as a partner, and you're going to either have to start over and go figure out another vertical, or you're going to have to go jump to that offer on some other network, and you can only play that hopping game for so long. So there's a handful of different capture types. We've got lead ads. Everybody know what lead ads? Can I see a show of hands if you know what lead ads is? Cool. I show a little, I break down each one of these in a bit. Third-party forms. We run a lot of lead ads, by the way. Super low friction and converts really high, but quality is crap. And I'll talk about that a little more. We've got third-party lead forms. If it's just a couple of fields, say a name and an email, the quality on that piece of data is going to be much less than if you capture 10 or 20 or 30 different data points from that consumer. Again, you're building more engagement and more. Now, you may want to capture a name and email on the first step, but then you could ask them 20 more questions after that step to build. And what you'll see is as you ask them more questions as they go through the process, you can see where your lead quality is based on how far somebody gets through the process. So that's lots of fields. Calls is really a burgeoning area. Pay per call, we do quite a bit of pay per call at A4D. Then you've got transfers, you've got appointments. You can actually sell appointments, and then you could also sell insurance policy, a loan, or a case. So you can take it all the way to the end and sell it from that piece. So first off, we have lead ads. Lead ads is actually native data capture inside of TikTok and Facebook primarily. I don't know if YouTube has it yet, but these are native forms inside. So you just set this up in, I think this was TikTok if I remember right. You just set these questions up in TikTok and then they post out to you on an API. You can do it via Zapier or whatever. Probably the lowest quality lead that you can create besides co-reg. Like if you're running co-reg or buying co-reg, I mean, that's absolute garbage. But, and again, everything has a price and a value. So lowest quality of single form capture lead stuff type like this. Definitely the easiest conversion. In Facebook, all these fields are pre-populated. So if you pull up that form on the left, it already has your name, your email. So all you have to do is click the next button. That's the lowest friction conversion that you can possibly get. We typically can generate a lead on a lead ad at about 20 to 30% the cost that we can on a third-party form. So if you take these same exact fields out of here, you put them on your own website, this is going to convert at 30% the cost of that third-party form. So third-party form, that's just that's what I call a website, like with fields on it. Low quality on 1 to 3 fields, as we said. Still, you're probably, to capture the same data on lead ads, you're going to pay double on a 3-field, I would guess, something like that. Let's see, again, I put in here risk for payment because to me, I'm always thinking about quality first. I'm thinking about quality before I'm thinking about profitability, because there's no point to build campaigns and spend a bunch of time, investing into figuring out how to make a campaign profitable if you're just going to get cut off and you're going to get your money clawed back. So I really, really think about quality, almost more so than I think about, figuring out how to profit. And there's other ways, just from a quality perspective, where there's all kinds of strategies where people buy search ads and then they blend a certain number of search leads in with social leads, because maybe they're running lead ads and then they're blending in some search in order to bring up the quality, and that blended cost to generate makes sense for them and brings the quality up high enough. They're probably losing their ass on Google, but they're making a ton of profit running on lead ads. Third-party form with lots of fields. Like I said, average quality there. The more friction, the more you capture, the better the quality is going to be. And then the next piece there is moving into, running actual calls. So this is our site, Debt Guide Today. It has a 3-step survey flow. And then there's an animation on this last page that, we're looking for the best debt provider for you. And then it will show a phone number here for them to call into. The nice part about calls is the connection rates on lead data is about 60% is what we're seeing. That's a typical 5.9 dialer. Calls, you have 100% connection rate. And then they also have a buffer time of 120 seconds. So we're actually been moving more of our lead gen stuff to calls, because that's all they want from the data anyways, is to get a call. So higher quality. If you're running this, you can actually listen to the calls, versus if you're sending somebody a piece of data, then it's going into a call center. You don't know what's actually happening with it. If you're running on a platform like Ringba or something like that, you can actually listen to the calls and hear the quality that you're generating, which is always beneficial to do. Pre-screen transfers. This is you can get your own BPO or your own call center that's a third party, and then when you do that, you can just put your calls or your data into that, and then you can start to see more of the feedback loop. These are more advanced strategies as you go through, and then you transfer out those calls. Oftentimes, people pay 50% more on a pre-screened warm transfer call, and so your quality continues to get better. Your conversion's obviously harder. Now you're managing a call center. You're looking at all the data points around that and so forth. And then appointments, I already talked about that a little bit. And then turning actual stuff into cases or loans or whatever. And most of this stuff, when we do it, we're actually getting a prepayment from the advertiser for it. Other things you can do to increase your quality, putting advertorial in front, so educating your consumer to what they're signing up for, teaching them, hey, you're going to fill out this form, and then somebody's going to call you, and this is what your experience is going to be. If you can tell them what's going to happen and get them prepared for it, the connection rates are going to be better. Another thing that we've done is on our thank you pages, we actually put the phone number, the DID that they're actually going to get called from, so they know who's going to be calling them. There's a bunch of stuff on that side that's too deep to get into. Quiz engagement flows, like I showed you on the call thing, putting those questions in the front. And sometimes you're like, well, that'll make it convert less. Sometimes what we find is when you run that survey and they're clicking through on that survey, they're already in the motion of doing something. So when they actually go to start filling out the forms, they just kind of follow through on the process. And we've actually seen putting those questions and quiz stuff in there actually increase conversion rates versus sending somebody to a site with a piece of data to capture where they have to type in their name or their phone number or whatever on that form. Getting them with some kind of a button that they can be clicking through the process. And then short form video landers. So again, trying to educate that consumer. We've had some good success with video landers with Lead Gen. Typically, somewhere between 2 and 5 minute videos, not like long form VSLs. Traffic types, social, image, lowest quality. So we actually almost don't run any image ads to Lead Gen on social. We've just constantly had issues with quality with it. Video, we've actually done quite a bit better. Still can be low quality. If you educate the consumer through that video, you can actually find some wins there. And we've definitely run much more predominantly video, a lot of UGC. I think we produce 1,200 ads a month, UGC ads that we run for social video stuff. Search is going to be your highest quality. Native is pretty good as well, and then YouTube is super high quality. We see YouTube is almost as high quality as when we run TV. So we'll do like infomercial TV, short form TV, and YouTube is almost as good as that. We'll run phone numbers in the ads and also have a call to action for the call out of YouTube as well. But I think out of all of these, YouTube is definitely the hardest, but it's also the largest opportunity. Guys doing $50,000, $100,000 days on YouTube, a big opportunity there. And then, again, if you're thinking about, okay, I'm hearing I don't have that great a quality, but my campaign looks super profitable. Well, maybe you go run a little bit of search at a loss and you blend in that search traffic in order to bring up the quality to whatever that bar is. They call it a lead gen soup. So it's just how does it mix together in order to keep that client happy enough where you're profitable as well. Highest converting flows. So this is Quicken Loans, I think Rocket Mortgage or whatever, refinance site in the US. You'll see that's their first page there on the left. And you see how they just have buttons there? Buttons to select. So you're just clicking a button versus coming to the form and filling out an actual field. So their first 3 steps of their flow, and these guys do some of the best CRO in the world. So I always use their sites as examples. Their first 3 steps in the flow are button clicks like that. And actually, when you click refinance, you don't even have to click the next button. You just click the refinance button, then you click single family home or whatever it might be. And then this is the first actual data capture. But these single step flows we find work way better than one with like 6 fields on the page or 8 fields on the page. Also, you'll see here, if you're going to run these single step flows, you see the little 16% progress meter there. Make sure that you put something so somebody knows how far they're along with the process. What I like to do is I like to cheat a little bit on that thing. So say you've got a 10-step flow. The first 3 questions will be 50%. So they'll feel like they're moving along really fast. And then the last 7 questions start to slow down. And it just psychologically like, oh, this is easy. I'm almost done. It's where you're trying to get somebody set at. So we talked about the lead capture stuff. Then the next piece of that is what do you do with that lead once you've got it? There's a number of different routing platforms out there. There's a ton of them, but I just put 2 that we use up here. One is Leadspedia and one is Leads Conduit. And then you've got, if you're going to do the maturing of the leads yourself, there's a ton of different marketing automation and CRM platforms that you can use in order to mature those leads. But your Leadspedia or Leads Conduit are going to allow you to sell on different models. And these are your standard models that typically you're selling your leads on. So one is going to be exclusive. That means you're selling this lead one time to one buyer. Next is going to be shared multi-sales. So like Quicken, who I showed you there, they'll only buy shared, and their competitive advantage is they've somehow figured out how to call somebody before the other 3 buyers that buy that lead. So and it depends. Different industries work different ways. And then if you get into like auto loans, they use what's called a ping post system. So you take this piece of data, you ping them, they give you a price. If they want to buy it, they give you a price. So maybe you ping 10 different vendors and they all give you a price back, and then you sell it to whoever the highest bidder is, or if you have a shared model, you can do that as well. So, you're going to be generating a lot of data. There's a lot of different ways to mine that data. So you can actually sell the data. There's a lot of different data brokers out there that will buy and resell your data. You can rev share it to email, SMS, and call centers, and they'll just send you a check every month. We do this quite a bit. And then, like I said before, you can ask more questions in your flow. So you're running this single step flow. You've got all your data. Well, you could tag on 3, 4, 5 more questions that maybe, does this person qualify for solar, right? If I'm in the home services or something, I could tack on some other questions at the end, and then I could sell that piece of data because I know there's intent there. Or I could put it into an SMS automation or email automation series to then get them to fill out a full lead form for solar. If you do this right, you should be making 30% of your margin or more should be coming from this. So what you'll find is a lot of people will run lead gen at break even. You'll build your own form and you'll find your own buyers, and you're like, I can't make this profitable. I don't know how these people are making it work. Number of people I know, they just run at a loss on the initial or break even on the initial, and then they have figured out how to monetize the data, and that's where all the margin comes from. So it just depends on what your model is. So where I think, there's all the standard affiliate stuff that everybody's running out there. But I think where lead gen gets super interesting is if you look at industries where there isn't a lot of lead gen right now. I'm looking at rehab facilities as one. I mean, there's some, but there's not a lot. We're looking at med spas as another. So I talked to a guy at med spa. Customer's worth about $12,000 lifetime value at a med spa, and they're paying $4,000 to generate a customer right now. And the margins, I think every customer is worth something like $5,000 or $6,000 in profit to them. So to me, that you've got an industry that has a really high growth rate. You've got large margins. You've got an LTV, and you don't have any like businesses in there that are big aggregators that are focused on that world. So what I like to look for is high LTV. There's a lot of buyers on the back end. Total addressable market is large, and super high value lead. And then in here, I just gave you an example. So if you wanted to create a agency, I'm going to build an aggregator that sells to agencies that want Shopify store owners. So if you have a agency for D2C, that could be a creative agency, a media buying agency. Maybe on average, their lifetime value of a customer that comes into them is $40,000. And the total addressable market is 4.1 million Shopify store owners. Now, a lot of those don't have the money in order to pay for a service like this, but fairly large market. There's been some big agencies built, Mute 6, W Promote, Structured, a bunch of other ones like that. But there's a ton of tiny agencies as well. So you could build a lead generation mechanism for these store owners, and then you could sell those leads to those different D2C agencies because they have such a high lifetime value on that. So that was just an example, but there's any industry that you can think of where the customer's worth a lot. you could create your own little media buying or your own little lead gen offer. And I think, the opportunity here is so great because most of the people in those spaces are not very adept. So you've got lots of margin to play with versus if you're going after auto insurance, you're probably going to work on a razor thin margin at scale. I prefer high margin stuff to focus on rather than big volume at low margins. So that was about it for the lead gen side. I put a list of books up here. A lot of times people ask me, what are you reading? What are your favorite books? These are all my must read. So anybody that comes to work for us, they get this list and, have to read it over a period of time. All great books. If you have any questions about any of them, I'll be around. And that's me. So if you want to find me, I have a blog at jasonakatiff.com. And we have a Facebook group called Built with AI if you're interested in AI and marketing. So thanks so much, guys.